everyone, and welcome to Providers Talks, where
Providers
providers
Talk.
Providers
talk.
talk.
I'm one of your hosts. My name is Donise Keller, and really happy that you are here for our next episode. Anita?
Hi guys, I'm Anita Vicini. Like Donnie said, we're happy you guys are tuning in. Hopefully, we're helping you with questions. Speaking of helping with questions, we also now have a email address. It is providertalks@gmail.com. So the email is for you guys to email us questions about episodes that we are doing, comments, and email us questions or future episodes that you guys would like to see. Like, is there something you really want us to talk about that is going to be a benefit to you and other providers, right? This is why we are doing it. So we would love you guys to utilize that email. All three of us will be checking it, so you never know who you're going to hear from. But we would, so providertalks@gmail.com. Miss Zoila.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here again with Miss Anita and Donise. Pleasure. And yes, we're happy that we have some new information to give you today. And thank you, Anita, for that information about that email. Yeah, we're so excited to hear from all of you and answer any questions that you might have. We're here to learn all together. Thank you very much. And let's do this.
Okay, so for today's episode, we're going to talk about contract clauses. We've all taught contracts trainings before, and so we felt that this was a really great episode that we needed to share with everyone. Right, ladies?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get this going. The first topic we want to talk about is payment due clauses. So, a little background. To give your families a payment due in your contract is what's going to help stabilize your income in your business. Anita, want to add more to that?
I mean, just having and okay, so I always try to work with my families. My due date might not be the same for every family, right? I have some families that only get paid once a month, some are bi-weekly. Um, so I kind of change mine around, but giving them a due date is just like your mortgage, just like your electric bill. You don't get an electric bill, people, without a due date on it, right? We get due dates for everything. So by having a due date, your payment is due every other Friday. Your payment is due on the first Monday of the month, whatever. That is their date that they know their payment needs to be made.
That is
Zoila?
correct. Yes, thank you, Anita. Yes, I think it's very important. I'm the same way like Anita. I have families that pay me monthly. I have families that pay me bi-weekly about every 2 weeks, and then I have families that pay me weekly. But the thing that I do is that they, regardless how they pay me or when they pay me, is due on a Friday. And why do I do that? It's because I like to have that sort of income so I can take care of the materials over the weekend, that I can take care of the groceries and prepare myself for the upcoming week of care. So like this, you have some sort of, especially that I also work with Subsidy, and Subsidy paid us monthly basis. And that monthly basis telling you that they're almost 2 months and 2 months behind.
Yes.
Because we work the 30 days, correct? And then we have to wait 21 days later to pay us. And those are and those not including the weekends. So
Right.
21 working business days. So that means that we're like almost 2 months late on our payments. So that cash flow will help me, for example, to stabilize my business, like Donise mentioned, to just keep me afloat during the month or the month and a half until I get paid for the rest of the children that I'm providing care for. So you can decide to do it Friday, like I do. You can do it monthly at the beginning, but it's important, just like your rent, or just like your when you go to the gym. All these memberships are paid in advance. It's on reserve basis, right? So they're reserving the space for your child, so it's upfront. care. So if they don't come, you already have collected the tuition for the child that is ill or in vacation or things like that.
Thank you, ladies. So what we're essentially saying is, if you don't establish when your payments are due, then the families will create a payment plan for you and they'll pay you when they get around to it. It's your business. So you want to be the one to create and establish a clear payment pattern so you know when you can expect your payment and when it is due. Now that leads to our next clause, the late payment clause. So let's say, as Zoila said earlier, she has her payments, as well as I. They're due the Friday before before care is given. So if you don't receive payments on that Friday, what do? Do you have a clause written in your contract that says there's a late payment clause? Think about it. If you don't pay your bills on time, let's say your mortgage, your car payment, any kind of payment that is due on a monthly basis, if you don't pay it on time, what happens? You get a late fee, right? So what does that late fee look like for you and your care? Do you do it by day? Do you include weekends? Is it like I said, a daily rate? For instance, my late pay fee is $10 a day, and that includes weekends. And so if I don't get it by Friday at 5 p.m., that's when the $10 a day starts. Zoila, what do you want to add to that?
One important thing when it comes to anything that you're going to put in your contract is that anything that you're going to charge the families, it needs to be on your contract. It needs to be in writing, right? You cannot just suddenly tell the family, oh, this. No. What I do is, for example, I leave the little line in blank, and especially with a parent, I'm gonna mark them, oh, this parent is gonna pay me this day. And I know that if they don't pay me by this date, that means that I'm gonna start accumulating late fee. The another thing that it's very important is like, that in California, they don't tell you how much you're supposed to charge. There is a clause, for example, that it cannot be punitive. Like that means that you cannot punish the person for being late. If the person is being late, that means that there's some financial issues there. So you have to be very reasonable of the amount that you're gonna charge. So 10 payments could be a reasonable amount, but for how long you're gonna keep going that payment. You also have to specify, I'm gonna only allow you to go 2 days with late payment or 3 days, because that means that if you allow 3 days, for example, that person accumulated already 30 days. If you allow that person to go for a week, that's going to be $50 right there. So it's going to keep adding up. So if the person already having such a hard time paying you that tuition for that week, and you keep accumulating fees, it's going to make only harder for that parent to catch up. So sometimes it's better to say, by the third day, the second day, we're going to suspend care until you come up and pay me the week that you are behind, and then the 2 days or 3 days fees that you have accumulated. Once you catch up, we move on like nothing happened here, because the idea is not to punish the parent. It's just to make sure that, you are not providing care and not being paid, because you need to pay staff, because you need to buy materials, because you need to pay food, and you need to move your program, right? To continue providing quality care. And your finances have to be on, you have to have money to take care of all these things. So that's what is very, very important. But make sure you stipulate in your contract how long is it gonna be late and all that. Always in writing. Don't let the parent decide it, because they can take longer than expected for you to receive the money. And if you don't stipulate it, sometimes they're gonna walk away owing you that week and owing you those penalties as well. Miss Anita, anything you want to add up?
My goodness, you guys got it covered. No, I agree. And how I explain it to my parents is that, listen, this is how I pay my bills as well. Like, this isn't a babysitting job that I did when I was in my teens, right? This is how I feed my family. This is how I pay my bills. So I have due dates that I need to meet. And in order for me to meet my due dates, I need to receive my payment, right? And just like Miss Zoila said, we have groceries to buy. We can't put those on credit to pay later. We have materials to buy. We can't pay those later. All that stuff comes out when we get it. So, and putting it to where you have so many days to pay before care is suspended, right? Because I don't want to keep charging you late fees. And for me personally, if I'm charging you the late fees, there's a reason, right? There's most people don't just not pay their bill. Um, so I can work with you on the late fees. Like if it's $10 a day at 5 days, $50, okay, well, you need to pay your bill. And then you can pay me $25 of that late fee this payment. And then next payment is your full payment plus the other $25.
That's
Okay, so
right.
you can, I mean, you can break it up how you guys feel is beneficial. We don't, like Zoila said, we don't want to punish the parent. But again, this is our business. This is how we pay our bills. This is how we feed our families. And this is how we keep our business afloat to keep buying the food and paying the bills and getting the learning materials that are needed. So it's important that parents understand that this is not just a babysitting gig, right? This is our job. This is how we support our families. So
I like how Anita said, she works with the families. The beauty of that is, again, this is your business. So you can create the boundaries and you can also create how you choose to enforce them. You can have them pay all at once or you can have them make payments to catch up with the late fee. It's completely up to you, but we are the business owners. So we get to decide and not the families. So I just want to make sure that you all understand you have that power to make these decisions, and especially you decide how you choose to run your business. All right.
yeah, we're not all going to be the same.
No,
Everybody's going to be a little different, and that's the joy of owning your own business,
it
right?
really is.
So
It
yeah.
really is. And you're also knowing your clients. So depending upon who you're dealing with, you're not going to deal with everybody the same. And it's not saying that we're not being consistent with our contracts. It's saying maybe the single mother that you know is struggling, you want to give grace and allow her to pay the late payments, over a period of time. But also knowing that this is your business, so you want to give clear boundaries and not being taken advantage of, because if you continue to extend care with payments not being made, then that only hurts you as the business owner. All right, with that being said, let's go into our next topic, the 2-week notice clause. As Zoila mentioned earlier, every one of these things that we're bringing up today, they need to be in your contract in writing. Okay, so the 2-week notice clause helps protect you in the event that somebody wants to terminate care. What it does is it gives you an opportunity to fill that slot, because when that slot is empty, you're losing out on income, right? One of the things that it's important, one of the reasons why it's important to have it in your contract is it also holds the same weight with the resource and referral agencies. So before I had it in my contract, if a client left me, it was just too bad, so sad they left. But when I go to the resource and referral agencies and said they left and they didn't give 2 weeks notice, they will pay us. So make sure you have that in writing. Anita.
Oh yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zoila. Go ahead.
Go
No.
ahead.
Oh, when it comes to this, also good that you mentioned that, because some agencies, also you have to understand that depending where you work, some agencies don't pay the 2 weeks notice too.
Really?
But maybe the parent is responsible for those 2 weeks notice, right? Because once again, there's a lot of things that we're responsible for. Your parents are looking for quality care and education for their children. And we have to come up with all the materials of that. And on top of that, every time somebody comes into our program and looking for childcare, they're asking, how many staff do you have? That's the first question to me that they ask, because they want to make sure that the child is taken care of, that they have, the right amount of supervision. And it's like we have to pay staff. That's another factor to all this, right? So the 2 weeks notice gonna give you that protection of the sudden loss of income that you might come up with. So it's gonna protect you. Just make sure that I had a thought that I was gonna say and I just lost it. Anita, go ahead while I remember, my love.
All right, maybe this will help you. How would you guys write it into your contract, especially for subsidized care, that if the agency does not cover your 2 weeks, that you are responsible? So that needs, that's not in my contract, and I need to figure out how to write it in there. I do have a 2 weeks notice, but I don't have it written with the aspect of a resource and referral agency maybe not covering it. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So, and then I've also thought, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Donise.
No,
I've also thought of changing my 2 weeks to a 30-day notice.
Ooh, wow.
Because then it gives me a whole month to help find somebody to take that spot. And listen, I normally don't have any problems. I stay very full. But for some providers that might struggle a little bit more, that gives you a little bit more leeway. And parents know, unless there's something like traumatic that happens, parents know that they're moving on to UPK or moving to kindergarten, or they're moving to Texas in a week, right? They can, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I said Texas. Everybody's moving to Texas right now.
No, I was laughing at the week.
Yeah. So they could give you more than a 2 week notice. But for you two ladies, how would you write it in the contract stipulating that if the resource and referral agency does not cover that 2 weeks, that it is the responsibility of the parent?
Well, I have a clause at the bottom of my contract, and it doesn't apply to just the 2 weeks notice. It applies to all fees. And it says all fees not covered by the resource and referral agencies are the direct responsibility of the parent. So that covers everything.
Let me get my paper because I'm writing it down.
Write it down, everybody, like Anita. Make sure you write that down. I'll repeat it again. All fees not covered by your local resource and referral agencies are the responsibility of the parent/guardian. And then put the child's name. Zoila, did you remember what you wanted to say?
Yes. Oh, yes, I did. And I wrote it down so I don't forget it, because in the moment I was like, wait a minute, my brain has so much things that I want to say. But here it is. Also, that week notice goes both ways. Right? As an educator myself, I also give the parents 2 weeks notice. And also within those 2 weeks notice, I also make a little bit of notes there that, there will be times that I might not be able to give those 2 week notice, right? Example, if there's misconduct, right, from the parent, let's say the parent in this case, that means that sometimes if they come and they start talking or saying things that they shouldn't be saying in front of the rest of the children, or for whatever reason, we never know what situation it's the family is going through, the parents going through, that things will come out of, will get out of hand, that I will immediately terminate the care. So those are the things that you're like, you can give examples like that. There will be this reason why I will terminate you immediately, and there will be these reasons why I will have to give you 2 weeks notice. And Donita mentioned about moving. Yeah, there's times I had it like that for a while, 30 days, and I went to the 2 weeks. But I know some families will know ahead of time. If they're moving, ahead of time. The only reason that you will not know is when you suddenly lose your job. the
Right.
companies will only give you the 2 weeks notice. And that's what I'm a little bit flexible with that. Instead of 30 days, I put it into 2 weeks, because those things started happening a lot during COVID and, the economy right now. So I just wanted to be a little bit more mindful. But I do specify that if you have more information, if you know way more in advance, to let us know, just because like this, we can call those parents on a waiting list, because there
Yeah.
are families that are looking for care, especially when it comes to infants. There's we only have very limited space. Is between the max we can have is 4 children, and now we'll drop our license to 12. And we have under 4 infants, it will stay up to 14 children as a ratio max if you have a large license. So you have to also consider all those factors when it comes to income. That's why we have to be very clear and specific into our policies in our contract. And I do specify that, something similar what Ms. Donise just shared about that. The policies that families are financially responsible if the agency doesn't pay for whatever reason, because we're caring for their child, not the agency's children.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. I say that all the time. These are their children. And we may be in this business because we love children. We're passionate about educating tomorrow's future. But a lot of these fees that we're talking about, parents think that we should absorb. And that's just simply not the case. I strongly advise against that. All right, let's move on to our next clause, and that is the non-refundable deposit. Do you ladies charge a deposit when children first sign up? Now, one of the things people want to consider is it a child on subsidy? And should you still charge a deposit? And if you do, let's say it doesn't work out. And that's also in my contract. I give them 30 days to see if we are a good fit for one another. Not every child that has interest in your program, or every family that has interest, is a good fit. And sometimes people ask for your deposit back. And so in my contract, I have a non-refundable deposit clause. I'm sorry, Anita, do you do that with yours?
So let me ask you, your non-refundable deposit, does it go towards their last 2 weeks or their last week of care, or is that a deposit, just paperwork, that kind of stuff?
It is.
Curious how you do it.
Yeah, it goes towards their last 2 weeks. So the deposit
Okay.
equals 2 weeks of tuition.
Gotcha. So see, like I said, like we have all said, we all learn from each other. So I charge a small deposit just for like paperwork, because we spend a lot of time prepping for these kids to even get here. The paperwork, the interviewing, all that. So I charge it's not a huge deposit. It's not a 2-week deposit. It is a 1-week deposit. And I do use that towards their last week if needed. So,
and so to me,
yeah.
that sounds like a registration. A
So,
registration
but there's a
fee.
difference, and
Okay.
maybe that's how I need to change it in my contract. See, you guys, I have my pen. You keep seeing my pen, I'm sure, because I'm writing down as we're talking. Maybe that's how I should put it in my contract, is that it's a small registration fee and then a deposit, right?
And you
So
can do both. It's your
you
business.
can do both, yeah. And you can always, I mean, again, it's our business, so you can be flexible with the parent. If you have let's say your deposit is a $500 deposit, plus they need to pay their first 2 weeks of care. Okay, so depending where you're at, let's say you're $250 a week for your care. So you're paying $500 up front for your first 2 weeks, plus the $500 deposit. That's $1,000. Some families, that's a pickle, right? Especially if you have more than one child, let's say.
Yeah.
You can break up that deposit also.
Yes.
You can say, okay, you have a $500 deposit, but how we can work it is we can break that up into 3 payments, or we can break that up into 4 payments, or two, whatever. You could break it up into 100 payments. You break it up however you want to break it up to make it a little bit easier for the parents. And listen, the parents then know that you can work with them, that you are somebody they can work with,
I love that.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's a, and I, and like Donnie said, I have a 30-day clause also, that it can go either way, that I'm either not the perfect fit for the family, or the family's not the perfect fit for us.
Both
And it
ways.
happens. And
Mm-hmm.
it happens. I had one little girl, a little baby. He cried and cried and cried. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And, the parent and I talked, and I'm like, this just is not, I don't know how to calm her. I'm a large license, so I always have a bunch of kids. She ended up going to another childcare that's right down the road from me. Well, I mean, 10 minutes away. Um, and Miss Connie's a small licensed childcare.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't have nearly the chaos, nearly as many kids running around, and she worked perfect for Miss Connie. It was a
Nice.
perfect fit. And I never take offense to that. None of us should ever take offense to that. We want the parents to be comfortable. I don't want a child to come to my care that is freaked out, or that's struggling, right? So I do the 30-day thing also. But I totally got off track. Sorry, girls.
No,
Well,
it's okay.
I wanted to say something about what you said, Anita, that was very important. And then Zoila, I want you to add to the conversation. But I think we as providers really, really need to stop looking at one another as each other's competition, right? We all offer different things in our programs. We are all in the same profession. And not every child that comes into our doors is a perfect fit. So I really love the way that you said Miss Connie down the block, Anita, was a perfect fit for this family, and especially for this child. I really think gone are the days when we look at each other as competition. We are not. We are all
Well, and we
brothers
kind
and
of, I
sisters in
mean,
the same profession.
when we're looking at it, especially families that, or providers that are struggling to get care, you kind of are competition with the next person, right? You want that child to come to you, but you also want it to be the right fit. But like you said, we're all brothers and sisters in this. And I do not look at my other childcare providers as competition.
Mm-mm.
Um, we actually gather every other month at each other's houses and do potlucks and talk about things and look at each other. We steal ideas from each other all the time.
Share, not
Again,
steal.
hence why I've got my pen in my hand, because I'm taking notes as we're talking. So I'm going to
Mhm.
steal some of these ideas. Um, but yeah, so you're kind of in competition, but I think it works out so much better when every provider in your area can work together to
Mhm.
make sure that everybody has the perfect fit. So
Zoila, go ahead.
Well, please, everyone, steal our ideas, just like Anita. Just like
telling you.
No, but yeah, there are 3 points over here that are very important. I do also have that tryout period. I call it tryout period. I do it 2 weeks for my families, but yes, it is very important. I want the families to feel comfortable. I want the children to feel comfortable, and this is because sometimes it could be the food, it could be our culture, there could be so many factors, and I just want that child to be comfortable, just because. And I tell the families that, if I'm not your fit, it's okay, because sometimes your expectation of how to raise your child, and we are part of that, right? We
Mhm.
also
Yes.
helping you raise your child. So I want you to feel comfortable. So that's what I do the trial period. I do call it a Miss Anita deposit, the application fee backslash registration fee. So you can call it
Okay.
registration fee or application fee, and it goes both way. And this is non-refundable, 100% non-refundable, because it takes us time to prepare before we meet with the families for the tour. We have to have the paperwork ready. We have to review the paperwork once they submit it to us. So yeah, we do spend time of ourselves. Sometimes the program is closed, but we're still working with this family that is coming the next days to meet with us, right? And then the deposit, I do that. And I also give them flexibility when it comes to paying me in payment in installments, because now I'm charging, the 2 weeks deposit, the application fee, and then on top of that, the regular week of care or 2 weeks of care, however they want to pay it. That will mount up to a lot of money. Financially,
Yes.
I know it's a lot, and I know that childcare is very costly. So that's why I try to be very flexible when it comes to that. And then other ways that we're probably going to share with you, one of the classes that needs to be there when you want to be flexible with the families, because I have worked in parents' shoes in the past. I've been that parent looking for quality care and education for my children. So I've been there. So I totally understand. I relate to that. I don't come and say here, oh, this is my business and I am going to run it however I want to. No, it's just a logistic when you're running a business that you have to keep in consideration, right? The families don't understand. Family come in here and they just multiply. Oh, you have this amount of children and you're charging me this. So every family is paying the same amount for the children and they start multiplying. This is how much you're making. I'm like, no, depending the age, it varies the rate. Depending that hours they're here, there are a lot of factors that will make the tuition very different. And then on top of that, we have to start subtracting the materials, the food, the utility bills, because when you run a program, your lights are on all day. When you go to work, you turn off your light to come here in the evening, 5, 6 p.m. And then you start utilizing over here, the dishwasher's running 2, 3 times a day. We're cooking. So that we're running with the electricity and all these things all day. The children are playing Alexa music all day long, So yes.
It adds up. It adds up.
It adds up. So that's why we have to consider all these factors. It's not like we're pocketing all this money that we're making, because if you pay attention to that, providers are underpaid and undervalued in the industry. That's a fact. So we are not over here making ourselves rich with all these fees and all this, but the way we do it, it's just to protect our business, to protect the integrity, and for the parents to understand how we run our program. If it's in writing, it's going to be there at the beginning of the contract. The parents are going to say, oh, it's doable. I can do it. I can commit, or I cannot commit. This program is not for me. That's and this is what we want to do. That's it, from the very beginning. And there will be times that the parent can come and talk to me, for example, and say, you know what, I'm having a hard time this week or this month. Can we work it out? And then I will work out a plan, but it's individually done, just because. But the contract is generic. By law, it has to be generic. There have to be no preference. It has to be by law the same thing. The rates have to be by law the same thing to everybody. There couldn't be no difference in all these things. So when I know that the only difference here is that Ms. Donise, because in her county, she charged different because we go by county. Anita's charging different. But other than that, the tuition has to align. In my program, for all the families, have to be the same, regardless of their financial situation, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta add. When I said $250 a week, I saw your girls' face go, listen, that's like, you guys are in big cities. I'm in the mountains.
Yeah.
The mountains. We do not. Our resource and referral agency for for an infant, our max reimbursement for an infant is $247, I believe, for the week.
Oh my gosh.
So when I said $250 and you guys were like, oh my God, hey, that's what we get paid up here. So every area, like Miss Zoila said, depending on the city, the county you are in, every area is different. But yeah. Anyways, and another bill that they don't think that we have to pay is taxes. We got to pay taxes out of this money too.
Man, 30% of everything we bring in.
Yeah, not only is our electric bill up because we're home all day and we have to have the temperature perfect for the kids, and we're doing 18 loads of laundry a week because we have to wash all, my God, all the stuff we do, and then we have to pay taxes. Boy, isn't that a bummer? Well, so parents don't think about that.
We've kind of gone left onto our fees, so let's come on back. And with that being said, it's time to bring a close to this episode. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we had so many more different clauses to talk about. So that just basically says we're going to have to continue this conversation in a future episode, right, ladies?
Donise, can I add something real quick, just because I know we want to continue bringing, because there are more policies. This
There's
is
so
only a
many
few that
more.
we just touched. But for whoever is tuning to this one specifically, make sure that you have the waiver.
Okay, do you guys
The
want to
waiver
say
is
what the
very
waiver is?
Yeah, the waiver is a statement that you have to put in your contract, that if you decide to, for some reason, be flexible with the family, when in your contract it says, I charge $10, we mentioned, for late fee, right, per day when the parent doesn't pay it on time. In this waiver, you're saying that just because you didn't charge the family on that day, that late fee, you will charge it again later on, and this will not affect the integrity of the contract and all the rest of the policies that is there. It's just because we have to be flexible with the families. We understand the families' needs, but make sure you have your waiver and your contract that it says that you might just one day make help the parent and be all that flexible, but it doesn't affect the integrity of the contract. If you don't have that, let me tell you that, and you keep changing all these policies in your contract is not valid.
Thank you,
So,
Zoila, for that.
Donise, first of all, everybody get a pen or pause this podcast and go get yourself a pen and paper. Donise, do you want to tell them the exact wording that they should put on there, please?
Okay. I'm going to get as close to it as possible. It is called the right to waive clause. Okay, it's the right to waive. And essentially what it says is the provider has the right to waive any part or some part of this contracts. It does not nullify their right to enforce the policies written within this contract. So as Zoila said, it basically says if you want to show grace for a late fee or an overtime fee or whatever fee, that you have the right to do that at your own discretion. But if you want to later charge them those fees, you have every right to do so. So thank you, ladies, for that. With that being said, we have run out of time, but I wrote something down, some final words. So let me read those to you real quick. A contract does not create confidence, but confidence helps you to enforce your contract. The stronger your confidence, the stronger your boundaries. The stronger your boundaries, the stronger your business. And the stronger your business, the better you can serve the families and the children you care for years to come. So thank you for joining me for this episode of Provider Talks. Remember, protecting your income isn't about being difficult. It's about being a boss, right?
Right.
All right. So thank you so much. We'll see you the next time.
Well,
Bye.
hold on. We want to remind you guys our email.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Send us your questions, send us your topics that you would like us to discuss. If there's something, like maybe we can do one podcast where we're just answering questions or comments that you guys have said. That could be fun. So what is it? providertalks@gmail.com.
One final thing, we will see you all in person on the Provider Power Tour, coming to Santa Clara, California, Sacramento, California, and Los Angeles, California. We will be either airing a live episode or taping one in person with a live audience. So we look forward to seeing you all in person soon. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Provider Talks. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.